Welcome to another episode of Six Figure Secrets for Fractional Experts. My name's Bradley Jacobs. I'm your host. I'm the founder and CEO of Mylands. Today, I'm with Carden. Ann, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thanks, Bradley. It's fun to be here.
So Ann brings together 43 years of business marketing and sales experience, 34 years as an entrepreneur, built 7 successful businesses, sold 5, current owner of 2, and has been coaching and consulting for the past 14 years. What else do you want to add to that introduction to give our audience a bit of color on you?
The only thing I would say is just what I do now. So I really help coaches, consultants, professional entrepreneurs who want to build their influence, and they also want to they want to be able to scale their business. So they want to, but they don't want volume. They're looking for more premium service, to sell more premium services, programs. And so that's really what sets me apart as I work at a high end level and help people do the same, get into their top 20 and 30% of the market.
So let's put some numbers to that, because our audience are independent consultants and fractional executives. A lot of them come to me saying they want to make, 30, 40, 50, 100K a month. Like, what range are we talking about for the people that you work with and help?
Yeah. So one of the things that one of my pitches out there is I help people get 40K to 150K plus clients, months, or days. So that's really sort of my sweet spot. And everyone that comes to me, as long as those numbers kind of resonate with them, they might want high-end clients, they might want to have higher months, or they might want those big days. And so I have strategies and support for all of those things.
So let's say I come to you and I have some smaller clients, right? I have like a 3K a month client or a 5K a month client, but I'm like, you know what? They're taking up a huge amount of time and I'm not making the money I want to make, but I'm also exhausted and I don't have time for lead generation. I'm kind of in this, hustle cycle. What would be the top 1 or 2 things you would just tell me off the cuff so that I could break out of this cycle and really be making more in less time?
Yeah. The first thing I would do is really look at everything that you can bring to the table. You're probably underselling yourself and undervaluing yourself. You're probably giving away your real value, truthfully. And so that would be the first thing I would look at is what else can you put into this? And then the other piece of that is you've just got to target a better audience. So if you can't get more premium clients, at the end of the day, it comes down to 2 things. You either don't have the right offer that makes sense to them to want to pay those big fees, or you're targeting the wrong people. And so all of those things have to be fixed. But Bradley, if people have expertise and skills and knowledge, I don't know that I've worked with anyone yet that could not 3 or 10 times what they were making per client.
And is that so much a mindset issue of I'm Bradley Jacobs and I believe I can charge this much, so I'm going to go out and ask for it and just do it? Or is it something else?
No, there's more to it than that. You have to be able to really understand how to articulate the value. First of all, you have to put together an offer that has that kind of a value and has a high perceived value. If you don't have that, obviously people aren't going to buy it. When you move into these premium types of services, people should be happy to pay you that money. Like they see the value in that and they would be like, yes, let's do it. This is great. This makes sense. And so that has to be figured out. What is the offer that you have for those people? And then how does that make sense? So how can you articulate the value to that client? Because at the end of the day, they have to be able to see the value. It's not about what you think. And a lot of people, this is where there's sort of a misconception out there. It's not about your value. It's not about, you're priceless, Bradley, right? So it's not about your value or your self-worth. It's about the value that you're bringing to the market. And that's where people get confused. So is there some mindset that goes to it? I think some people think, can I do this? I don't know how I could do that. I remember 15 years ago, my first coach said, if you don't have a $50,000 offer, you can't sell it. And I thought at that time, $50,000, are you kidding? Like, what would I sell? I was coaching businesses. And, but I realized I wasn't exposed to that. I didn't understand it. So it's a couple of things. If you don't understand how you can do it, It doesn't mean you can't. It just means you don't understand how to put the pieces together. But then the other side of that is once I walk my clients through this and I really show them the value that they're bringing to the market and I like really map that out for them, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm kicking myself that I could have been charging more. So it's understanding the whole process. But then you also have to get positioned as a more premium consultant or professional so that people will see that you're the Lamborghini and not the cheap used car. And that's a big piece of it.
So I spoke with a woman this morning. She worked at McKinsey for 9.5 years, and then she went on to do some really cool international expansion work with some big brands. And she's done so much stuff. And she comes to me and she wants to use our lead generation service. And I said, well, who's your ideal customer? And she was like, well, it really could be a lot of different companies, a lot of different situations. And I was like, well, look, for us to be successful, like we need to know who to target. There's a few 100 million companies out there. We can't target them all.
Yeah.
And she really struggled to narrow this down. And I was like, look, we can't take you on unless you've done this work already, or we can do the work with you as well, but we have to get there. So the question I have to you is for someone like that, what is the process tangible, like as tangible as you can?
Yeah.
What does it actually look like to get to the place that you described where I have this really valuable to the company offer that's going to bring in the money that I truly want?
Yeah. So one of the things that I really do with my clients is I have them, when I get started, let's just take my process, for example. When I get started with someone, I actually have them fill out forms and I have them just really dive deep into all the things that they know how to do, the results that they've been able to accomplish, the accomplishments, the results that they've been able to have, the experience, the knowledge, the skills. And we look at a way to pull together all of those things so that they can still specialize, but they're doing more than just one thing. One of the problems out there in the coaching and consulting space is people are saying, do one thing, do one thing. But when you have years of experience and expertise, that isn't really what you need to be doing unless that's just what you want to do. You have more to bring to the table. So it's about positioning yourself for your brilliance, for your expertise, and then putting together the offer for that. So when I work with my clients, a lot of times they might be selling themselves one way, but then I say, you have all of this knowledge and experience, why is that not built into your packages and your pricing? And they say, well, I didn't really know how to do that and still sell myself one way. So that's an important piece for people to know. So you don't necessarily have to choose if you can find a way to put all of that together and then come up with one concept or one way to position yourself. And then also specializing. Everyone has something that they've done that they're really good at, but you should also like it. So I just want to throw that in too.
Yeah.
You don't want to build your business around something you can't stand to do. And
Right.
so that's all a piece of it. So when I dig in with people, I really help them uncover where's their opportunity. And it's a lot of it's some brainstorming, some back and forth. But all my years of experience in doing this for many, many years with so many coaches and consultants, I can often see the opportunities they have just because I have so much experience doing this. And so I can bring to the table my thoughts, my ideas. This is where I see your big opportunity being. How do you feel about that? And then, and then we build from there.
Thanks for sharing that process. I think it's really helpful. I continue to hear and see that people struggle no matter how talented they are, even if they're an incredible marketing executive, they struggle to do this work on their own. Right? No matter what, no matter who you are.
Yes.
Why do you think it is so, and this is almost my own curiosity, why is it so hard for an individual, myself included, to market and position ourselves clearly?
Oh gosh, because you are just too close to it. I'm too close to it. Bradley, where my expert in you method came from is I couldn't find anyone to help me do it for myself. It took me a very long time to figure this out, which was so frustrating that I could not, everything I bought into, they were taking me down the wrong path. It wasn't about my knowledge, my expertise. That's where my whole method came from because I bought into the wrong things. I went down a lot of the wrong paths. It is so difficult to do for yourself. It is just so hard. you're too close to it. I always say, when you're playing the game, you can't see everything that's going on like the fans can, from the out, sitting in the stands and looking in. Or I've heard people say, you can't read the label from inside the bottle. That's exactly true. The other thing is when you have someone, a second set of eyes that that has expertise in this area and they know how to do this, they're going to know things that you don't, and they're going to be able to see things you can't. And so even if you could sort of figure it out, how is it, Bradley, I'm able to 3 to 10 to 20 times what people get paid when they come to me when they think they've got all this dialed in? Yeah. It's because they can't see it all. They can't. Right. They don't understand it.
So if someone is saying, because I get this all the time, like, we can help you with your niche and value add in your offer, and they say, oh, I'm going to do the work on my own and then come back to you. What do you say to that person that says, oh, I'm going to do it on my own?
Good luck. At the end of the day, this is what I always say and what I tell my clients. You're looking for the people that are looking for you.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm looking for the people that like what I'm saying. It resonates with them. They're like, I would love to do that. I feel like I'm not getting paid enough for what I do. One of the things with consultants, for example, they sell themselves a lot of times as an extra pair of hands. Well, that's kind of an hourly employee. They're treated like an employee. And so I help them get out of that and become a trusted advisor, a trusted partner. And then if they want to build people under them to do some of the work and still have their hands on the pulse of it, but they actually elevate themselves beyond the doing. So they're not doing everything anymore. So there's a lot of ways to build and grow a consulting business. And all of those things will get you more premium fees than if you just allow yourself to be treated like an hourly employee, which is what a lot of them do.
Right. Let's talk about getting your foot in the door. I want to really focus on LinkedIn. I know that's one of your areas of expertise. So let's first answer the question, and it's probably my most curious question, of what do you see is the most effective way? Let's say I have a list of people to talk to that I want to potentially work with, highly curated list, let's say, and I'm going to use LinkedIn. What would be the best strategy to start building a relationship with these people, get my foot in the door, and eventually have a chance at closing them as clients?
I would have to know who the people are, because there's not a one size fits all. It depends. What you do with trying to get a high level CEO is going to be very different from going out and trying to get a coach that's on LinkedIn. That's really present and active. So can you give me someone more specific?
Yeah. So let's say it's a fractional CMO.
Okay.
And they are targeting smaller businesses, let's say employee size, 30 to 100. Mm-hmm. And let's just say, health businesses in healthcare.
Okay. So the first thing you would want to do is get positioned for them.
Okay.
So everything that if they saw you, they would say, oh, wow, this is for me. So you need to understand what is the solution that you have that they need. And you want to get positioned for that. And then you want to have lead generation for that. Here's the thing. People are looking for services. They are looking for help, but most people don't show up with a great message. So if you got positioned for exactly what those people need and how you are the expert at doing that, a lot of times you can just go do a connection request and they'll see what you do and they might book on your calendar when you do this really well. This happens with my clients a lot when we start repositioning them on LinkedIn and really dialing things in on LinkedIn. So that's one way. But if that doesn't happen, you can reach out. You have to think about people that are busy, for example, CEOs, people that are running businesses, they're busy. You need to reach out with like a quick, fast message to get their attention and then offer something of value. That could be a call. Again, this is I almost hate to do things like this on podcasts because people are like, oh, okay, well, that's what I need to do. And they don't have the strategy behind it and they don't have the pieces behind it. And so then they're like, well, that doesn't work. there's no cookie cutter system here. It really is different for everyone depending on who you're going after and what your expertise is. But in a nutshell, you have to be able to get visible to them. You have to look like you're for them, and you have to have the right way to pull them or attract them to
Right.
you or get them to book a call.
Right. And I totally understand it is very different. I love you just calling it out. There's no cookie cutter answer here, which everybody wants, right? Just like, tell
They
me what to
want
do
it.
and I'll do it. But there's a certain framework that you're kind of sharing already of you have to position yourself well. That's a huge piece of it. And then you have to offer something of value. Because as you said, these
Yes.
people are busy. Okay. So let's dive into that a little bit more. What does it mean to position yourself well? You're talking about your profile. So if I connect with Anne, you might take a quick look at my profile. And if you like what you see, you might reach out. And I don't even have to do anything. What does it mean to position myself well so you might reach out to me?
Yeah. So one of the things that you want to do is really specialize. You want to look like the specialist. This could be by industry. This could be by your value proposition statement. It could be either or, it could be both. So you want to be a specialist, especially if you're looking at like LinkedIn. There are how many CMOs on LinkedIn, right? How are you different? And I like to use this metaphor. As a business, if I was building websites, if I, built websites for people and I said, you were in front of me, Bradley, and you were a chiropractor. And I said, I build websites for small business owners. Or I said, I build websites for chiropractors. Who would you automatically think was better for you?
Yeah, I mean, I
And
go
that's
where specifically, whereas like if you're saying it's to me, then it's like, yeah, well, that's for me. I'm going to do that.
exactly, because in your mind, that credibility just went way up because they build for chiropractors, so they must really know their stuff and they've done this before and they've done it for other chiropractors, right? And so that's sort of the mindset. And a lot of people try to be too many things on like LinkedIn, but this is any marketing. They try to be too general. Specialize, get very specific on either what you offer or again, industry, or it can be both. And so when you do that, it makes it so much easier. I will tell you, I did this very successfully offline before I ever came online. I ended up, when I was out teaching, working with small business owners, I ended up as the contractor business coach because I started working with like trades companies. I worked with a roofer and then he had great results. And then he referred me to a plumber. And then next thing I'm working with an auto repair shop. So as that whole thing built out, I'm like, I'm just going to position myself this way and I'm going to become a contractor business coach. And again, that was a lot of years ago, but it opened up the door because now everybody knew how to refer to me. I could go speak at associations for all of these, contractors and different businesses, and it just made everything so easy. I had a website that was contractor business coach, all of that. Well, then when I came online, I ended up doing the same thing. It took me a while to figure it all out and how I was going to do it, but it works. It works offline, it works online, and too many people are afraid to do this because they're afraid of leaving people out. It actually has just the opposite effect. If you want to stand out, if you want to be seen really as an expert for what you do, you've got to specialize. So that's the first thing. And then make sure that everything, like on your profile on LinkedIn, everything should support that. All of your content should support your expertise in that area, case studies, social proof, your banner, everything that you're doing on LinkedIn should support that. Now, that doesn't mean you have to stay in that specialization. You can change verticals at any time. It's just some work, right? You have to change that up. But that's the first thing is just get very specific and go all in. Just go all in and just watch what happens. I mean, there's more business out there than you could possibly get in one niche anyway.
I'm going to challenge you for a second because I'm looking at your headline and it talks about, are you a consultant, coach, or professional entrepreneur? And these are very different archetypes of people, right? They have different problems, different challenges, and maybe they all want the same thing,
Well,
right?
look at the rest, though. Look at the rest
Who would like to
because
grow
it's
your influence and scale your business with 40K to 150K clients, months, or days. So
There you go.
they want the same thing. And so that was really the question to you is if they're different ICPs, but they want the same thing, you're fine to lump them into kind of the same bucket.
Yes, as long as you have a strong positioning statement, they can really see what it is you do, what you're the expert at. Yes, you can add a couple, you can have a couple of different niches. So when I talk about a niche, it doesn't necessarily have to be one specific type of audience. It can be, with what I do the same thing with all of them. I help them build out premium programs. I help them scale their business, right? Promote their marketing, their influence, all of the things. So my offer's the same for all of those people. But if you notice, my positioning statement is very specific. So if someone says, I don't care if I get $150,000 clients or months or paydays, they're not going to be my people. They are going to be a no, right? But for other people that say, that sounds pretty good, I would love to get $150,000 clients or months, they're going to be the people that respond. So your messaging should be so clear that people are a yes or a no. It should repel and it should attract.
Yeah. Cool.
But that was a great question. I'm glad you called me out on that.
Yeah. No, I don't think there is a right answer for this. And I love hearing the different perspectives. And I do think there's a category of right answers of, speak to your customer and the value that you offer. But there's always little tweaks on what people think you should do. So I'm always intrigued of like where those lines are and everyone's different perspective. You talked about the next thing of offer something of value. Because if I say, hey, Ann, I'm Bradley Jacobs and I'd love to get to know you, you're like, well, I'm a busy woman, right? I don't have time to just get to know everybody. So we need to totally aligned with offering something of value. What are examples of that if I'm a fractional CMO, what can I offer to a decision maker that's going to bring them value, not waste their time, and they're actually going to have a chance of engaging with?
Yeah. So that's actually a fairly easy one. A case study is super powerful. A quick case study, a quick video. It could be a video case study, but you've got to make sure the message is really on point. It's intriguing. It's going to grab their attention to take a look at it. And so it's how you position that message and then offering something like that, is this something that your company would be interested in? Then you could book a call. So they're getting to see, in like really walking them through the results that you have had with a business just like theirs. This is what we did. This is what we did. This is what we did. I mean, I did that many years ago. I actually had a PDF of a case study of a plumbing company I worked with. And I actually showed every single gap that we uncovered in their business. And here was the result of what happened and the money and the profits that they made. And so it was really easy. It was of value because people could say, oh, I never thought about doing that. Maybe we should look at that in our business. So that's real value when they can actually take what you're showing them and they can walk away and actually implement it. But at the end of the day, if you're talking with businesses, most of them are going to want help. And when you walk them through a case study, you're sharing your expertise. You're educating them. This is how we do it. A lot of people don't buy, Bradley, because it feels abstract to them. They don't really get okay, years ago when I first started, I would say, oh, I can help you grow your business. Well, that's pretty abstract, right?
Yeah.
Well, Ann, can you help us grow at $1 or $1 million? Like there's a difference, right? And so they don't really understand how you're going to do that. And a big part of positioning is to educate your audience on exactly how you work with them and how you do it. So you're really letting them peek behind the curtain. A lot of people like to keep this like really close to their vest, and that's a mistake. You want to just show them, hey, this is what we do. I'm doing it with you right now. Well, we brainstorm and we do this and we figure it all out, right? Yeah. I want people to see exactly what the process is because I want to bring in the right people. I want to attract the right people. So when you show them exactly, we do this first and then we do this and we do this, and you have a great framework or a great offer built out that's very clear and concise, then you will get more traction that way.
But let me ask you, Ann, because I feel like if I say, hey, Ann, I'm Bradley Jacobs, and this is how I've helped, fellow plumbing companies. Here's a case study. Come look at it. Feels like it's about me.
Yeah,
and we really want the messaging to be about them. So
sure.
what does that really look like?
Yeah. So a message would be, I'm not sure if you're interested in this, but I would love to share with you a case study on how I grew a plumbing company's profits by 50% in a year. Would that, here it is if you would like to take a look, or would you be interested in that? That's another way, get them to feedback, right?
Right.
If you would be interested in seeing that, I would be happy to send that over on it's a PDF. I would be happy to send that over. Just shoot me back a reply and let me know. Super simple, right? But it's got to be intriguing. It has to be an outcome or a result or a transformation, something that they would be a yes or no. And so you have to make sure that the message is powerful too. I wouldn't say, hey, here's a case study how I helped a plumbing company grow. If you're interested, do you want to grow your business? No, that would not be very powerful, right? But if I said, hey, I would love to show you how I helped a plumbing company grow by 50% in a year and add 30% to their bottom line. I mean, whatever it was, I don't remember what it was anymore. Or I help them add a couple $1,000,000 to their business, and you can be specific. Now people will be like, yeah, I'll check that out. And that's all you're wanting. You're wanting to like open the conversation and get people to see. And then you obviously take it a step further and you get them into a call. I would love to show you some gaps that are some areas of impact in your business that you may not be taking advantage of. Would you like to get on a call and we can talk those through? And then you should know how to close sales. So that's the other piece of it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's assume we can close sales. Like I
Yeah,
think, yeah,
assuming you can close
yeah,
sales.
big assumption, but let's do it. You said it's a totally different strategy for a bigger company. I mean, let's say it's now 1,000-person company, and I'm still a fractional executive, so I'm still looking to speak with either the CEO or the business owner, or maybe one of the CEO, other C levels. How
Mm-hmm.
does the strategy change if I'm targeting a much bigger company?
This is where you may have to do a little bit of testing. So again, you want a powerful message, you want a powerful value add, something that would resonate with them. You have to know really what they would want, what they're looking for, what solutions. Let's just say, okay, right now AI is a big thing, right? And companies are now hiring consultants to help them with AI because they don't understand it. So if you show up with something that's really relevant in the market right now, like AI, and you can position that as something of value that you're going to give them, and then you ask them to take that next step with you, you'll probably get some traction. So that would be one way to do it. The other way to do it, especially on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is a business platform and it's built for this, you could actually look at you could look at a particular CEO, for example, or a company that has 1,000 employees, and you could look and see who you know in that company and reach out to them and talk to them and say, hey, I'd love to get an introduction or whatever. So you can work through people. And that's really a powerful thing on LinkedIn that you can do, which is why I love the platform so much. So there's a lot of different ways you can approach it. The other thing is you can offer you to go in and do a free workshop. You can offer, there's so many ways, go in and speak. Go to conferences where they are. These are all ways to generate those leads. But if you don't have the fundamentals in place, you don't have a great strategy, a great message, great positioning, you don't really know what you're trying to do, none of that's it's just tactics that aren't going to work. You've got to have the strong strategy behind it.
For the smaller companies, what is your take on a manual one by one approach versus using one of the million automated softwares that, send out these campaign connections and follow-up messages and all of that?
Yeah, the really great thing is when you're looking for quality over quantity, you just can use those softwares to go build your list. So I always say, a lot of people say, what's your dream 100? You can break it down even more. What's your dream 50 or your dream 25? Make sure, again, that you have a great offer for them, but go and reach out to those 25 or 50 people and connect with them. You don't have to go volume. In fact, I don't teach a volume business. I don't teach my clients how to run a volume business. And so it is always quality over quantity. But there are other things you can do as well. You can you have a podcast. You can invite these people to be on your show and shine a light on them and shine a light on their brand. And there's so many ways to leverage this. Where you don't have to be a big company. I'm not a big company. in my business, I'm a boutique type of business. I have a small team, but I have a lot of affiliate partners that do things for my clients if they need those. I don't have to do anything. I just have to sell it when my clients need that. So there's a lot of ways to build out your revenue and build your business and keep your business very small and very streamlined. And these are all things that I do with people when I'm helping them scale is what is the direction that you would like to go or build a few people under you. My son right now is building a consulting business and he just left corporate and he is now building a consulting business under him. He's built this whole network of people he has been in charge of for years and years. And he's already got all the people that can work under him. Now he just needs to go and get the jobs and get the, generate the leads and all of that. And so there's a lot of ways to build. You just have to decide what do you want to do? What's right for you?
The fractional executive, let's say the average fractional executive comes to me and they basically say, I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to go to the networking events or run a podcast or do a newsletter or all this stuff. What do you tell that person? Like, what is your message to that individual?
Yeah, you've got a business problem. And you have to understand marketing is going to be 90%. If you can't market and sell, you should just go work for someone. I mean, I know that's not what people want to hear, but that's the truth of it. When you're in business, marketing and sales, until you get things dialed in where now you can outsource them or you can have other people running those things. But look, if you're going for high-end consulting deals, you are going to have to talk to people. You are going to have conversations with people. You are going to have to get those relationships or work through people. You cannot build your business just sitting there in a vacuum. And so if you don't understand this, you're probably not ready to build a business. You're probably not ready to be in business for yourself. You might be better off, and everyone's not cut out for entrepreneurship. Yeah. So you might as well just think about, working for someone. Maybe you can even work for a consulting company and get paid, to do the work but again, you're going to basically be an extra pair of hands that way. Yeah. And so it's like having a job if you're going to do that. So there's a difference. You have to decide, do I want to be a business or do I want to, have a job? Doing the same thing, just maybe. So there's no right or wrong here, but that's the truth of it.
Yeah. I love your directness there. Okay. So that same person says, okay, Ann, you're right. I hear you. I have 2.5 hours a week to put towards business development. That's what I've carved out. What is the biggest bang for their 2.5 hour buck that they can be doing week in and week out to fill their pipeline as consistently as possible?
Yeah. There's no one size fits all, Bradley. This is going to come down to who their target is and how they can get in front of them. But I would say LinkedIn's a pretty sure bet for most people. So how can you put your time into LinkedIn? You need a great strategy so that you really have a streamlined approach and you know exactly, like most of my clients only spend a couple hours a week on LinkedIn. They don't spend that much time because they know exactly what they're supposed to be doing. And they leverage their time. And then once they get things working, they can hire just a VA that can help do things. So that would be, one thing that I would say. But the other thing is if, again, you only have a couple of hours to market your business, you have a business problem. You probably have something you need to change in your business because you're not running your business. Your business is at that point running you. You need to be we talked about the revenue roller coaster. I think you mentioned inconsistent revenue. The reason that happens, especially with consultants, is they get busy, they get clients, they get busy doing the work, doing the thing, and then they're not marketing. And then all of a sudden they don't have clients or they need more clients. You cannot build a business. That's not a business. That is selling a product. And that's like starting back over at zero. And you don't ever want to be in that place. So marketing has to be consistent. Every single day, whether you're doing it or someone else, it has to be consistent.
Totally agree. And I had I thought that might be the answer of like 2.5 hours is not enough, right? The activities that you did talk about in the first part of that answer, right? You go on LinkedIn, it's a powerful tool. Mm-hmm. What tangibly, like actually in practice, are those activities that fractional executive should be doing in, let's give them 5 or 10 hours a week for their business? Like, what are those things?
Yeah, well, you need to be trying to get conversations with people. So, in whatever way that is, whether it's reaching out to them, adding that value, you need to be trying to book calls. Your goal is to get people. I mean, I'm assuming this is what you're trying to do. If you're a consultant, you're trying to get calls booked. So, how can you work through people? You have to be very clear on who you're trying to find. That's a really important piece. And then I already shared, you can work through people, getting referrals, or you can just go reach right out to people. You've got to have the fundamental pieces in place. But the other thing you should be doing on LinkedIn is building your influence. And one of the things that I love to help people do is I love to help them launch some sort of a live show or a podcast, because you can also use that for lead generation, as we discussed. And so you need to be spending time doing content, showing your expertise, building that value, building that brand, that personal brand, because that's going to be your sustainability and it's your credibility. Lamborghini, cheap used car does nothing. Lamborghini is influential, and they're showing up and they're shining and they stand out. And you have to spend time doing that if you want to be around for any length of time, if you're going to be in your own business and you want to continue to grow. So you've got to spend some time in your influence marketing, but you also have to have lead generation. So that's really where you need to invest your time for marketing.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like, because we really preach the outbound strategy of growing your network
Mm-hmm.
of decision makers in your ideal customer, introducing yourself, right? And then creating thought leadership content that builds this relationship, starts building trust and authority and legitimacy. Because that's the end of the day, the lowest hanging fruit is always our network.
Yes.
And the reason it works, right, is because they know us, they trust us, they can hire us in a second. I don't need to legitimize myself. I don't need to niche down. You just
Mm-hmm.
know that I'm capable of what you need. You
Yeah.
need to replicate that with strangers,
Yes.
right?
And the thing is, when you do that really effectively, Bradley, it actually pre-sells you.
Yeah.
It speeds the reason the influence, I say you need two systems in marketing. You need your marketing lead generation systems, and then you need your influence system. And the reason that's so powerful is because it practically pre-sells you and it speeds the know, like, and trust. When people can come and check you out, when people a lot of times book on my calendar, I've never seen them before. I have no idea where they came from until they fill out that form that tells me how they found out about me. So that's the power of having an influential brand and people being able to really see what you're all about and what you do. And so that needs to be consistent. But yeah, you just really need to spend time doing that, but you need both of those systems working.
Yeah. Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Cool.
Okay.
Is there anything else you'd like to leave our audience with around these topics, like a question I didn't ask or a topic you think would be really helpful to them?
The only thing I would say is, expand your mindset. If you're a consultant in particular, expand your mind and start thinking about, do you really want to continue to be the doer and be the extra pair of hands? Or do you want to be running the company and building it and growing it? And I think, why would you leave? Look at it this way. You leave a corporate job, which is what a lot of consultants do, right? They leave a corporate job or some kind of a job, and then they go into having another job, except it's for themselves, except now they've added marketing and sales stuff that they have to do, and they've made it even harder for themselves. So my thought is, how can you continue if you expand your mind around not settling for an income, but I want to really build something here, then all of your decisions will be different. You'll take different actions. You'll make different moves in your business. But at the end of the day, you're going to be paid more for the value that you bring to the market. And so it wasn't really a question, but I would just say that's what I would love to leave people with, is you've probably got an opportunity right now to 3 to 10 times your business, and you're not doing it because you might be staying in that mindset. Like, I just want to make an income. There's no right or wrong here. I'm not here to tell somebody what they need to be doing. I just am always here to share. There's more opportunity for you.
And you give us an idea. I know what your headline is, but your average client, your average customer, right, on a
Mhm.
monthly basis, how much are they bringing in per month? Just for an idea?
Yeah, it really varies. I have a client that just closed a $413,000 sale. So she went from making a few $1,000s on a client in particular to making $35,000 a month on that client. So the average just really depends on where they are, how long we work together. Again, I pitch the 50 or the 40 to 150 because those are the ranges basically that my clients fall in. And some are at that lower side and some are at the higher side. It just really, there's so many factors there. And a lot of people don't want to get into those high levels either. They are thrilled with 40,000 a month. So, but one of the other things I do, Bradley, is help people in the way they take their payments and how they structure the payment side of their business. So a good example of this would be I work with a lot of coaches as well. And a business coach will typically say, okay, I'm going to break it up monthly. I'm going to charge, let's say $24,000. I'm going to break that up. It's $2,000 a month. And a lot of marketing agencies do this too. But I actually teach them a different process, how to either get paid bigger dollars on the front end and then break up the rest, or even get paid in fulls by using like third-party funding or offering incentives for people to pay in full. Because if you bring in two $25,000 clients a month, you're at 50K. You do that again next month, you're at 50K. You bring in four, you're at 100. So the way I teach people how to build their business, it's not difficult to get to those levels as long as you have the marketing and you're booking the calls and you're getting people interested in your services. So that's all a factor too that a lot of people aren't teaching.
Yeah, that's really cool. And so the third party, I just want to dig into that for 1 second. So I can basically, my guess is the third party actually pays me up front, right? And then the customer pays the third party over time and kind of they take on that risk and they take their cut. Is that basically?
That's it. Yes.
Okay.
But you can also offer incentives for people to pay in full because especially if you're talking about companies, a lot of times they have the money. So but most people don't get paid in fulls because they're like, we want that recurring revenue. Well, that's just because you don't have marketing systems that keep business coming in. Otherwise, you're not going to care. When you get paid in full and you really deliver and you're honest and you have integrity, those are pieces as well. But you know that you can deliver and you get that paid in full. Now you've got cash flow to ramp things up. And now you've got cash flow to build your team. If you're only getting paid, let's take that coach, for example, $2,000 a month, right? Now, if I want to be at $50,000 months, look how many clients I've got to be working with. Yeah. But if you're taking paid in full, now you've got money sitting there that you can start working with to really grow faster. And so that's all part of a strategy, but it's a different way to build. And a lot of people are not doing that.
Yeah, it's a very cool insight. What's a third party you want to shout out a company that you love using for this service?
Yeah, I've got a few different ones, but I'm not going to say because they probably wouldn't be the right company for everyone. Okay. There's a lot of funding companies out there. You just really have to find out how they do things and have conversations with them if you're wanting to do this. But even before I had the companies that I work with now that pay in full, I've worked with third-party funding companies for years, but I was able to get more clients just because I offered funding. And now back then I didn't get paid in full, but I did always get paid more upfront. So I structured my business that way so that I wasn't breaking it up evenly, but I was getting paid more on the front end, where is really when I put in a lot of work with my clients anyway, and then breaking up the rest. So you're still building that recurring. There's a couple different ways you can do it. Yeah. But yeah, there's, and also the companies I work with, I partner with. So they're referrals. And so it probably wouldn't make sense to do that.
Sure.
But if you want to know, Bradley, I can tell you when we get off here. So.
Okay. I do want to know. Give us a self-promotion moment of, what is your package or how do you work with your customers? You've shared a bunch here, but just a moment to kind of share what you do, who you do it for, and then how people can find you.
Yeah. So I really have a 4-step process. The first step is package. Everything's a P. So this is my expert in you method. First is packaging. We look at your revenue model, premium services. We make sure you have a suite of offers that are in that high end range. And then the second piece is positioning, making sure that you really become known for the thing that you're so good at and what you want to be paid for. The third is promote. This is all of your marketing and sales. And then the fourth is profits. And that's where we really scale you, add other income streams. For example, I have a lot of ways I make money in my business, but they don't require me. So Bradley, if I give you my affiliate link for my funding partner, guess what? If you ever fund through them, I will get a piece of that. Full transparency. You can build out a lot of revenue streams by doing that with people. So that's other ways for people to grow and scale. Shouldn't be a disconnect, but I help them with all those, automate, build their team, whatever they're going to need to really go to the levels that they want to go to. So I'm an A to Z coach, I like to say.
Very cool. And where can people find you?
Yes, you can go to my website at annelcarden.com. And if you want to book a call, if you like what I've talked about, you can book a call at acarden.com. But I'm on YouTube, I'm on LinkedIn. You can join some of my events that I have going. You'll have no trouble. You can Google me. You'll have no trouble finding me.
Yeah, cool. And we'll post the links in the show notes as well so people can easily find it. Ann, thank you so much for being on the show. This was great. And for your time and sharing your expertise with the audience.
You are welcome. Thanks so much for having me.
Got it.